is midway through the season at this point, just about, because it's 17 weeks, so we'll call it now.
Yep.
We're going to talk mid-season awards. Before we get into today's video, guys, I just want to give a special shout out to today's sponsors, starting with Goldfine & Bowles, Lawyers for the Injured. Personal injury, workers' compensation, those are their two things, but any sort of legal advice, they're the people to call. Give them a phone call, 309-673-5144. Tell them we sent you, okay? And I'd also like to shout out SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video as well. Use promo code PlayBookSports on their website to get $20 off your first purchase of $30 or more. Let's get back to the video. And I didn't put, I guess we'll do everything except, we can do comeback player of the year also, but I think that if you're just predicting who's going to be comeback player of the year, it has to be Damar Hamlin, even though he's only played one snap. No, you don't like it?
You don't play one, I don't care.
Even if he doesn't play?
No, I was telling Nate, I think he could play no snaps.
And still get it. Yeah, because
I don't think he should get it.
Well, maybe not,
No,
right, because he's not doing anything.
Right. Yeah,
but, shout out to Damar Hamlin. Tough situation he dealt with. Obviously, you survived. But now let's separate that, right? Let's take out the injury. Let's pretend it didn't happen. Damar Hamlin has been a healthy and active all season, except for maybe one game where he played a couple of snaps and was back on the bench. He's not playing. Why is that? Is it talent? Are they afraid of him getting hit? If they're afraid of him getting hit, just make him inactive then.
I saw someone else who looked like he died on the field. That's an MVP favorite right now.
Yeah,
that could be comeback player of the year.
He's second in the voting or in the position for it. So, Colin, who do you have for comeback player of the year right now?
Well, Tua.
It has to be, I think.
This guy's never going to play again. He's going to retire.
He's
going to get hit once, and he's going to retire. Mm-hmm. Guess what? He's leading. He's the betting favorite for MVP right now, leading the most prolific offense in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's comeback.
Needs to be considered.
I consider him for MVP.
No,
I wrote him down
as much as I do love Damar. It's like. You can't say this, obviously, we're going to little hate for it. Sorry, Pod. But it's like he might have been cut before, if this whole injury thing didn't go down. Yep. Like, he died on the field. So do the Bills feel a little bit for this guy and maybe don't get rid of him right away? It's like Damar Hamlin was a backup safety that was a bad special teams player.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about. He was on the field for when Teagan smoked him and his heart stopped. And it's like, that was terrifying, terrible. And everybody's glad that he's okay. But it's like, this guy was a player that barely played. So we're going to give an award here when there's a guy that, people legitimately said should never play football again.
Right now.
And instead he comes out and goes, I'm playing football because I love this shit, and I'm going to come out and ball.
Yeah.
Ball.
300 passing yards a game, only quarterback.
If it is a real award, it
right,
is
if it's genuinely comeback player of the year, not just because he's alive and is showing up to the field, not playing, but showing up, then we should just, they shouldn't have even made it a race. They should have just said, hey, Damar Hamlin's going to get it this year. He earned it. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. Yeah. Do what you want. I don't think he's earned it. But he can have it, and I'm okay with it because of what he dealt with.
Like you said, you don't get healthy scratch. The Bears are healthy scratching guys that are on the cutting block. It's like, I'm sorry, if you're getting healthy scratch,
I think maybe the Bills would cut him if he didn't, like you said, didn't get hurt. Maybe they'd cut him now because he's not playing. Yeah. They've got Poyer, they've got Hyde, they've got these other guys who are playing over him, and he's not even. They're showing him every game. We're seeing him on the sidelines every game. Yeah. Looks good to go. He chose to continue and play football. It's like, okay, but don't you have to play well to win this award?
When you think of comeback player, you think of, I always think of someone who got injured.
So,
Damar fits that.
Yeah.
It's like you have to come back and
play.
Like AP coming off that ACL and coming back.
And Gino
win MVP that year?
Yeah. I think he did.
Dude,
if it wasn't that year, it was recent.
All I know is Gino is another thing for that comeback player of the year. A guy that has been multiple places, bounced around, struggled, never really reached it, and then all of a sudden gone, okay, probably should be a most improved guy, but there's not really a thing, but it's like some comeback player. It's like, again, Damar isn't playing.
Yeah, ultimately you have to produce, you have to earn it.
You gotta earn it.
It'll be cool for him when he wins it because he's gonna.
But
it's like,
it'll be a nice ESPYs moment.
Yeah,
that's
what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep.
I do understand all the efforts and work that Buffalo's training staff had to do for that whole situation and every other injury situation. I'm sure it's not easy, but I don't know if I like the number 3 on the back of the
that's
a little weird. I feel like it's a bad omen.
Well, and a Bills player, I don't remember who it was, but
Trey White was rolled out
and it's like, damn, Damar, you have to relive all that.
Right, relive it every time that ambulance comes out. You see your name on an ambulance. It's like, I don't know about that.
It's like that's got to be the same ambulance too, probably.
Probably is. Why would they have a new one? Right, probably is.
Maybe. Do you think they drive their own ambulances to opposing fields?
Oh no, if it's on the road.
Well, no, wasn't it?
It happened in Cincy.
Was it in Cincy?
Yeah. Oh, it was.
Oh, that's right. The injury was
in
Cincy. You're right. Fair enough. Okay, good call.
That'd be wild.
If they brought the ambulance
cross country.
That would suck. I'd be so pissed as an EMT. Oh my god. Oh, it's gotta be fat.
Yeah.
Thousands. All right, so that's comeback player of the year talk. Let's go rookies.
Yes.
We'll work our way up to the big ones. Offensive rookie of the year right now. I think it's a 3-man race. And I think we could have a 4th entering the chat after this past weekend. I think you have to give some love to Will Levis with a 4-touchdown performance against a good Falcons defense. I'm telling you, it was those jerseys. I'm proud of that take. Proud of that pick. Proud of that take. Was I the only one on him?
It
no,
is
I think
wild
was on
to
him.
take a team only because of the uniform, and
But,
it actually works out.
But
yeah, that shit
is it?
Is it crazy if it works?
If it works, I don't think it's crazy. But I think that right now, if I had to give out the award for Offensive Rookie of the Year, it's probably C.J. Stroud.
Yep.
Because of what he's doing in Houston.
That's who I have as well.
He's the best of rookie quarterbacks, and it's not necessarily a quarterback award because Garrett Wilson won it last year. But then you're talking, okay, is it Puka Nacua, who's been awesome? Is it Jordan Addison, who has been awesome? My pick preseason was Bijan Robinson, and he's not doing anything at all there. Like
His first rushing touchdown of the year.
One touchdown. Like, there are multiple running backs that are rookies that are playing way better than him this year. Way better.
I almost think, again, like, obviously not going to go on a completely tangent, but Arthur Smith, like, what's up, bro? Like, we draft this guy because of you.
Right.
Like,
He's the guy.
We all heard all offseason, don't draft running backs, don't pay running backs. So let's draft a running back, 8 overall.
8th.
And be all in on this kid for him to be behind this coach that's all in on run game. He's Derrick Henry's coach, man.
Yeah.
He's offense coordinator. He's going to come over here and do the same thing with Bijan. Nope.
Nope.
It's like, what are we talking
Can't even
here?
see the ball.
Yeah.
Can't even get carries, man. Like, being held out of games with a headache. It's like, okay, are you sure you're not just doing this to spite people because you hate fantasy football so much?
It's like he looks damn good when he has the ball in his hand,
Right,
too.
give
It's
him
like,
the ball.
Arthur, what's good, bro?
Yeah, his numbers have been very disappointing, and I think it has to be right now C.J. Stroud. Although I will give love to Jordan Addison with his touchdown prowess. But he takes a hit, obviously, with Josh Dobbs coming in, and that's
like,
the killer.
Yeah, he's going to potentially lose out on...
I think it's probably between Stroud and Puka, because Puka was, what, a 5th-round pick for the Rams, and he has been awesome for them. And with Cooper Cutback, he's increased the amount of balls he's getting thrown. Like, he's awesome.
I feel for Puka because he's a guy that award probably could be his, but it's just the same thing where it's an MVP
best
talk.
Quarterback, best rookie quarterback.
Yeah, it's because Stroud's going to come in and he's throwing 1,800, 60% completion, 9 touchdowns to 1. I mean, it's a projection, but he's projected 22 touchdowns to 2 picks.
Yeah, that's very good for a
and over 4,000 yards as a rookie on a team that had abysmal quarterback play last year.
Quarterback play. Yeah.
Terrible offense in general. And instead he's come in with a defensive-minded coach.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like they've done the wrong thing hiring a defensive guy for C.J. Stroud.
To teach a quarterback.
And instead he's came in and balled.
Yeah.
Dominated. So I have C.J. Stroud as my offensive rookie of the year as well.
Yeah. Colin as well.
With you guys.
Yeah. Defensive rookie of the year. Colin, who are your thoughts on this one?
Well, unfortunately, it was a guy that 9 teams passed on.
Yes.
Or 9 different picks passed on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, no, yeah. Houston
he went 9th, but the Bears traded back. Because Bears traded back and gave the Eagles the 9th pick.
Yeah, it's Jalen Carter right now.
Yeah.
Don't have all the stats in front of me, but he is one of the highest rated pass rushers, defensive linemen in the league, and he was
3.5 sacks as a
D-tackle
rookie.
He was like the consensus. I don't want to say consensus because that's not a good word. But he was like
best player of the draft.
Might have been, dude.
He was in a one pick for several months leading up to the draft.
Yeah, before the Bears traded it away.
Some drag racing video comes out. I mean, which is terrible news.
Yeah,
some
stinks.
But it's like
But it's like
that's not his fault. He was driving. Right. He's still very good at football.
Yeah, he is going to decimate your offensive line.
Yeah. Yes.
Instance off the field has nothing to do with his production.
With his talent.
And it looks like his character is not in question at all.
The Bears literally could have picked him 1 and not traded that. Not gotten Fields' help, and nobody would have bitched. I mean, people would have bitched.
People would have bitched.
It would have been at least arguably worth it.
Yeah,
you know what
because
I mean?
He's multiple run stuffs, 3.5 sacks, led the NFL in pressures. Quarterback pressures as an interior defensive lineman through 5 weeks. That's stupid. Like, that is stupid. He is an absolute game wrecker.
Yeah.
I said it.
Fumbles.
Yeah. I said it in the Dolphins preview video. I'm like, this is a guy that's going to ruin the game for us if Liam Eichenberg's trying to block him. And he was, and he ruined the game for us because he was in the backfield the whole night. Yeah. He's an absolute menace. The guy is a stud. And we just keep letting the Eagles get these guys. Yeah. What are we doing? Yeah. What are we doing, NFL? How does this happen?
That's a team that was in the Super Bowl.
Gets the best player in the draft.
Pick, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Just for grins.
I'll say it forever because it's going to continue to come back in my face, this pick. And the Raiders probably ruin them. Because
they
do.
The Raiders probably do.
But it's like,
probably goes to jail
Tyree
for the
Wilson over Jalen Carter.
Yeah. Wilson's been buns.
Hasn't done anything for them. It's a Texas Tech defender. What were we thinking?
It's a Pac-12 defender.
Pac-12
he's
defender.
a big athletic guy that can get to the quarterback in college because he's fast and strong.
He's better than
Pac-12?
Yeah, big.
It's like, where's your moves? It's the same thing with the Jags and Hutchinson.
And Pac-12
it's like
Javon Walker.
Hutchinson's got a bag of moves to get to the quarterback versus just being fast and strong.
Thinking projections,
Everybody's fast and
SEC
strong.
lineman, back-to-back national champ, Texas Tech Big 12 D-end.
Right, who had
physical
a good year.
Yeah.
Seems like a very obvious
Proven
pick.
commodity.
Uh-huh.
physical specimen.
I wonder if that played a part in the GM losing his job this morning as well.
Honestly,
you just keep making bad personnel decisions.
Or hey, we passed on Will Levis.
Will Levis. Yeah. It's like, well, maybe you should. Right, maybe that also played a part. Tennessee's watching
man,
him
he looked pretty good at 7.
Yeah, pretty damn good for them. Could have gotten him in the second round too. I think they traded down.
They did.
Dumb. But I think, he's got to be Defensive Rookie of the Year right now. I will say Devin Witherspoon making some noise.
That's who I have.
He's playing
as
really well.
My Defensive Rookie of the Year so far, only because dude's played, I think it's 7 games because they've had the bye, but he's only allowed like 200 yards, and it's like a 50% completion when targeted.
He's locking it down.
And he's got a massive pick 6. And he's on pace for like 93 tackles as a corner. That's a rookie who's not afraid of anybody
Loves
in the league.
contact.
You know what
He's
I mean?
laying the lumber.
Yeah,
he has a couple hits this last weekend.
It's damn impressive because I'll admit, when they took him there in the draft, I thought that was a reach because I like Christian Gonzalez quite a bit.
Yeah.
But Witherspoon, obviously Gonzalez injury, that's not. But Witherspoon's dominating, and he looks damn good. And so I've got him over Carter. It's those two, though. 100%. Either one, I'm grinning because both those guys deserve it.
Yeah, they've been awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Will Anderson, haven't heard a whole lot from him as the first defensive player.
Yeah, 1 sack.
Kind of a disappointment
so far. Wonder if it's just a thing where he started out there on his own on that line.
Probably is a little bit. All right, let's get into Defensive Player of the Year. Addison, who do you have in this spot right now?
Well, it was a little bit of a spoiler in that script video we did. I got from Raj, Myles Garrett. I knew he was about to have an insane season, and he's delivering. I look around the AFC, and there's some other studs, TJ Watt. But give me Myles Garrett as my depot. 8.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. I almost want to say TJ Watt willed the Steelers to a win against the Ravens.
Yes.
I think Myles Garrett has done that multiple times. I'm sure the Colts gave him some reps, but I think Myles Garrett, big block, field goal, jumping over a guy.
That's an unbelievable
out of him. You know what I mean? I've got 6'4", 280. So it's like, thank you very much. But just the way he's played, let's get Myles Garrett. Let's get him some awards. Let's get him some something for his trophy case.
Yep.
Hasn't had it yet. It's all him. I just love the way he's playing that Cleveland defense, Cleveland roster in general. But he's just the stud of it, and he's coming. You can't stop him.
Yeah, I think
he's having moves out there.
I think he's having his best season of his career, which was terrifying because he's been a consensus top defensive lineman forever. I also have him in my spot. Like you said, 8.5 sacks, 7 TFLs in 7 games. Yeah. He's averaging more than a sack a game. He's on pace for just about 20 sacks this year. TJ Watt has been awesome too, 8.5 with 7 TFLs. They're neck and neck, but I think Myles Garrett is more of a game wrecker right now than TJ Watt is, personally.
I know it's weird. I don't want to hold it completely against one guy in one game, but when the Texans are down, both starting offensive tackles and another starting lineman, and the Steelers get 0 sacks, and TJ Watt was healthy and playing, man, maybe that says something. You know what I mean? It's not every game you have to be dominant, but it is when you're winning these awards.
Right, and when you're going up against someone who is dominant
every single game. So give me Garrett here.
Yeah, I've got Garrett as well. Colin.
God, I want to be different.
Do it, but it's
I'm
hard
not.
to.
It's hard to. I did have both Myles Garrett and TJ Watt because TJ Watt single-handedly did give the Steelers the win over the Browns when they played early this year.
Yeah, true, that as well.
But it's just like, you look at what Myles Garrett's doing, and it's so hard to pick one of these two guys.
It is. This is a tough race. There's some tough races.
Can they both win? Can it be a code?
Right, can we get a split here?
But I am going to give it to Myles Garrett. Just the slight edge. He's just more the flashy guy this year.
He's
doing
crossovers in front of the
towards
center.
him.
Yeah.
He's taunting him, man. He just
defensive touchdown. I don't think he got. Did he get credit for that defensive touchdown against the Colts, or did he just get the strip on it?
He got the strip sack. Yeah, the first fumble. Didn't get the touchdown.
Just 2 fantastic players, same division. Feel bad for Sage having to face those guys 4 times a year. Combined.
So shout out TJ Watt for having an interception. Dropping back into coverage and getting that pick was cool. I mean, he's very, very good. Yeah. They're both excellent defensive linemen. And it's pick your poison. I think Myles Garrett just affects a game a little bit more than TJ Watt does at this point.
I will never forget the Jones family for taking Taco Charlton over TJ Watt.
We took Charles Harris, so I feel your pain because those guys are both horrible over TJ Watt, who is so good at Wisconsin. Just disgusting.
And I know it's dumb, but his brother being JJ.
I know, it's like you got to maybe take a swing on that.
Clearly, this guy's about to be good.
Another brother's already in the league as well.
Yeah,
so it's like,
maybe NFL family, maybe. This guy might be good.
Maybe he's going to be good.
And something people in this guy's DNA might work.
We all passed on JJ Watt. Maybe we don't pass on TJ Watt. No, we'll all pass on TJ Watt and let him fall to the Steelers, who historically have a very good defense, and will continue that path.
Which, who knows, maybe Tomlin and the Steelers brass, molded
really
him
got
into the
maybe. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. All right. Offensive Player of the Year. And the only reason this one's tricky for me is because of the next award and how often does a player win both. It's tough. Obviously, Offensive Player of the Years almost never go to quarterbacks. because quarterbacks almost always get the MVP. Offensive Player of the Year right now, I've got to imagine it's going to be consensus. Maybe it's not because Christian McCaffrey's having a very, very good year.
Yes.
Right? Christian McCaffrey has been awesome. 9 rushing touchdowns, 650 rushing yards through his few games. I'm pulling up his stats right now. Christian McCaffrey has been fantastic. Getting him 6th overall in our fantasy league, God bless. He has been an absolute workhorse. Yeah, 652 rushing, 9 rushing touchdowns to go with 300 receiving yards and 4 receiving touchdowns. Like, he's got 13 total touchdowns on the year. Absurd. Absolutely absurd. The Niners' offense is Christian McCaffrey. But he's not breaking records.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill has over 1,000 yards through 8 games. Most receiving yards through 8 games since 1961. First to ever do it in the Super Bowl era. He's well on pace for over 2,000 yards. Like, on pace for like 2,200 nearly. Yeah. He is basically 120 to 150 receiving yards and a touchdown a game. He only has 1 game this year where he doesn't score a touchdown. I mean, 61 catches, 1,014 yards, 8 touchdowns. That's a great season.
Yeah.
Through 8 weeks. Yeah. That's a fantastic season through 8 weeks. Like, you could say, give those numbers to a ton of wide receivers.
And you're good.
And you're like, great year.
Yeah.
61 catches, 1,000 yards, and 8 tuds.
Yeah.
Fantastic. He has done it in 8 games.
Yeah.
Unbelievable production from him. Everybody who thought he was going to Miami to die, he's never done this before, ever. You know, is Tyreek Hill the most dangerous man on a football field? I think so.
With the ball in his,
yeah,
not even with the ball in his hands.
Even just like
running
the
the
last 2 weeks, he's had 2 deep ball touchdowns where he was double teamed.
Yeah.
And he said, see ya, I'm gone, right through the middle. How do you stop him? I don't know how. And obviously other teams don't know how because he's that fucking good. He's insane.
Yeah.
He's insane.
I mean, there's 3 ways he can go.
Yeah.
The double team can't beat him because he'll just go the third way.
Right, he goes
he'll
straight.
Be open.
Well, they've been bracketing him with a safety inside and a corner on the outside. And he's like, all right, I'm literally going to run past you guys. You can't keep up with me. And he just
you got
flies
left,
past
right,
me.
I'll go straight.
Yeah,
You got straight
like,
left, I'll go right.
I'll go right. And I'm going to be open. He's so good. I am so happy to have him on my team.
Yeah.
Offensive player of the year, Addison?
I do have Christian McCaffrey.
I think that's
here.
totally valid. I think it's
Just
totally
because,
valid.
as fucked as it is, Tyreek, he only runs routes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going the
He's a wide
opposite of
receiver.
Stephen A. I'm going the opposite of Stephen A. All he does is just run. Tua puts the ball in his hands.
Tua puts the ball to gives it to him.
Nah, I'm just talking shit. Tyreek is absolutely the same, but it's just Christian McCaffrey. I don't think Purdy's good, so I really look at McCaffrey as damn impressive because teams, like, if you want to stop the Niners, that's how you stop them.
Mm-hmm.
You cool down Christian McCaffrey and make Purdy beat you.
And you're going to beat him.
And good luck stopping CMC.
Yeah.
Because this, I mean, I put my life on a touchdown. And I actually put my life on a Christian McCaffrey
18
touchdown.
straight games with a touchdown.
That's insanity.
That's unbelievable.
It's insanity, record-setting there. But he is just complete, in my mind, he is so much of what the 49ers want,
Everything.
49ers do.
Everything for them.
If he was gone, holy shit, who knows what they are. Obviously, it'd still be good, but he's just so important. So I've got him as Offensive Player of the Year. Like you said, Nate, it's like 13 tugs. I mean, it's just not fair.
Almost
it's
1,000 yards himself right now.
Yeah.
He's been, I mean, damn near 1,000 yards for him, too.
And that's the thing with the Niners. They don't really take massive deep shots.
No.
So it's like, they know what's coming, too.
Yeah,
and
they're going to give the ball to Christian McCaffrey 25, 30
But it's
times.
like, you can't stop him.
You just can't stop him. Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, they're both awesome players. Colin, thoughts on this position?
Yeah, I wish that worked for Dallas because they seem to stop Chris McCaffrey the last few times they played and still got lit up. This one's another tough one. There's multiple people that you both already talked about that could win this award and should honestly win this award.
A.J. Brown's been amazing. I didn't even mention A.J. Brown.
Yeah, for real.
900 yards in 8 games with like 9 touchdowns. He's been awesome.
5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns. He's been awesome.
I'm gonna lean.
It's tough, man. It's so tough because they're both
I'm gonna
so
lean
good.
Tyreek.
Yeah.
Just because of how explosive and how different, like a big of a difference make. I know McCaffrey can be the same way. He can take a screen to the house. He can take an inside run to the house, and he is their whole offense. Let's call it what it is. Right argue Tyreek Hill does everything on Miami's offense as well.
Absolutely.
He's a deep threat, and if he's not, he's the best decoy in the league.
Yeah, he is.
Hey, you want to take a couple shots underneath, or you want to run a specific pattern for a specific receiver? Let's just run Tyreek next to him.
Yeah.
We saw it happen
the
in the
clear
game with
route,
Jalen
yeah.
Waddle. Like Tyreek went deep, and literally both corners said, "We're not going to cover Jalen Waddle. We're just going to cover." And then Jalen Waddle's walking in for a touchdown.
You want to run a cross-field post. Have Tyreek run a streak on one side of the field. Have your next guy run all the way across
Everyone
the
will
field. Guess
focus
what?
on
That
Tyreek.
deep left is going to be wide open because they're going deep with Tyreek.
Mm-hmm.
And then you talk about Tua. I mean, obviously his health and being on the field, he's been
huge.
solid in his career up to this point when he plays compared to Miami Dolphins when he doesn't play.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyreek has just made him even better.
Yeah, that
as
much
a player.
better. It's
great. Spoiler for Coach of the Year as well. But it's like the system plays a part,
System's
Tua's
big.
ability plays a part, Tyreek's ability plays a part. And honestly, I don't want to say I've been disappointed in Jalen Waddle this year.
A little bit down to year.
But I've been a little bit disappointed in
down
Jalen
here,
Waddle.
yeah.
Maybe that's just Tyreek going a little
I
crazy.
think it's Tyreek going off, truthfully.
But you talked about it. Nobody in the Super Bowl era has had, 1,000 yards through 8 games?
1,000 yards, 8 games, yep.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me, Coach.
Waddle's on pace for his usual 1,000 yards and about 6 touchdowns, which seems like a down year for him, considering
He's
what we're
just been
seeing out of
quiet.
Tyreek Hill. It's a
He's
quiet. He's been hurt. He's missed a couple games. He's been banged up, but I agree. Like, you want him to do more. He's caught 37 passes, so he's caught 24 less, but he's got 500 less yards than Tyreek, because Tyreek just does everything, man. Tyreek has been insane.
But yeah, you give it to McCaffrey, you give it to Tyreek, you give it to A.J. Brown. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I
those
agree.
guys all earn it. All have earned it.
I agree. Offensive Player of the Year is going to be close. Defensive Player of the Year is going to be close. We'll see who separates in the second half here.
Hopefully someone makes it obvious.
Right, I know.
Because otherwise.
Well, I think it's going to be so hard to not give it to Tyreek if he goes over 2K.
Yeah.
It's also going to be hard not to give him MVP if he goes over 2K, which we'll get into here in just a moment. Coach of the Year. I think this one's kind of tricky, too.
Yeah.
Colin, you kind of alluded to your Coach of the Year. Tell us about it.
It's the most prolific offense in the league, in my opinion. It's the most fun team to watch. They've mastered the pre-snap motion and the motioning
down to
on
a
the snap.
science.
I mean, you get Tyreek lining up as a tight end position, and you get him motioning as the snap's coming.
Yep.
Good luck any corner that's
Keeping
following
up.
him in man across the
Yeah.
formation,
Yeah.
because you're already beat.
He's already beat
Yeah.
you.
Good luck if you're in zone flat-footed, because you got a fully in-stride Tyreek Hill coming across the formation. I mean,
Yep.
you look at the amount of times they motion, you look at the scheme he has ran. Yes, I hate the question, do you think any quarterback can come in and do your system? Well, it's like, I hope the coach would say yes.
Hopefully, yeah.
Because that
hopefully.
means he
But-
believes in
But
what
who
he's
cares? Like
calling.
McDaniel said, who the F cares? We have Tua doing it.
Just the pieces they've gained and the way they utilize their pieces, I look at, as my team, the Dallas Cowboys, they're 31st in pre-snap motion.
Yeah.
And it is such a bland, boring offense to watch when you got guys flying all around and you got a quarterback that can hit the guys who are flying all around. I mean, good luck.
Yeah.
Speed kills, and Mike McDaniels has done a great job. I mentioned it,
We have an
3 weeks
insane
ago
amount
on
of
our
speed.
pod?
Yeah.
I'm like, is Mike McDaniels, is it crazy to say he's the best offensive mind in the game right now? With Shanahan there still?
It's close. I mean, he's got to be in consideration. You look at all the second-year head coaches from the last year who had good success last year. Dable, that team's fallen apart. He got figured out. They're falling apart. O'Connell for the Vikings. They're 4-4. They're not great.
But
They're not terrible.
all the
He's
ones
figured out.
games, it's the opposite. Yeah.
Exactly. It's fallen off. They just weren't that lucky. And there's not a ton of other second-year coaches this year, but like McDaniel, apparently he figured it out even more.
Yeah.
The offense just moves the ball, and honestly, the numbers Tua is putting up are great. The offense has looked awesome. The part I'm most impressed with is the rushing game.
Yeah.
Truthfully, last year we couldn't run for shit. We have never been able to run for shit. This year we're averaging 151 rushing yards a game. We have 16 rushing touchdowns through 8 games. We're averaging 2 rushing touchdowns a game, and we're doing all of this without Devon Achane, who's got 500 yards in 4 games played. He averages 12 yards a carry. We're doing it without him. Mike McDaniel has schemed up everything so well for this offense. He is a fun coach to watch, a fun coach to listen to. He cracks me up. He's goofy. He's true to himself, and I'm so appreciative to have him instead of Brian Flores because Brian Flores just sucked.
Yeah.
So McDaniel is my pick right now. I will say my second place in making it close is Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. Now, how much is it Ben Johnson in that offense? How much is Ben Johnson causing? Is he going to be a guy in the next couple of years we're talking about as one of the best offensive minds? Maybe. But Dan Campbell, those boys play so hard for him, and he gets the most out of his guys, in my opinion. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4th-round pick. Jameson Williams starting to get going. Sam Laporta, rookie tight end, balling.
Amazing.
Balling.
Yeah.
Their defense is so
Stepped
good
up.
for the
Stepped
Detroit Lions. Like,
Stepped
the
up
Detroit
huge.
Lions are a team that last several years, it's like, their defense is getting cooked.
Yeah.
Their defense is
Historically
absolutely no
bad.
good. Historically bad defense. This year, they've only allowed 165 points a game. Like, that is really solid. They have been, averaging less than, right around 20 points allowed a game. And their offense is they've scored 208 games. He's doing a damn good job.
Yeah.
And I got to give him his props. Former Dolphins head coach, Dan Campbell. Got a shot,
Got
we
an
sent him
interim.
out. He was an interim head coach after Joe Philbin. The guys came out and everything that they said about him, they wanted him to be the next head coach. But he obviously didn't get it because we gave it to Adam Gase. Wow, great call. What an idiot. But everybody from the Dolphins that played for him and that last of that season said he's a coach you want to play hard for.
Yeah.
He may not be the smartest coach in the NFL, but he's someone that you go out and you bust your ass for because he gives you everything he has. So I'm giving it to McDaniel, small bias, but the offense of the Dolphins made 271 points in 8 games is insane. The offense is cooking. That's what he's good at.
Quickly before you go, Addison, I did have Dan. I also had Pete Carroll kind of.
Yeah, I thought about him
I
too.
had Doug Peterson kind of lingering.
Yep.
The reason I went McDaniel over, why am I blanking
Dan
now?
Campbell.
Dan Campbell. Thank you. You mentioned it. I think McDaniel is more of the scheme and the brains behind the operation,
Yes.
whereas Dan Campbell's also part brains, but it's like he
Motivated.
just embodies.
He's a Detroit coach.
He's like, hey, we're from Detroit, hard-nosed city.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to come out and we're going to play hard ball, and they eat that shit up, man.
I'm going to take David Montgomery and I'm going to turn him into a monster this year.
Well, I just think that's what he was.
Yeah, I think he was too. Just kind of held back maybe.
That he was doing all that shit behind the line of scrimmage, and now he's actually getting fucking plus
yardage.
Past the line of scrimmage, whatever happens, scores touchdowns. Pisses me off. But I do have Dan Campbell as my coach of the year, and it's only because I just look at what Detroit has been, and it is even worse than what I would say Miami's been.
Definitely.
Like if you compared the last 20 years.
The Dolphins have 3 winning seasons in a row.
And it's like, he's
one
been
of them.
balling though, and McDaniels is tough because their offense is absolutely elite, and the system is there. And you brought up the quarterbacks. Can they do his system? I don't know if they could, man, because Tua's footwork might be best in the NFL. Might be best in the NFL. Good. That's how quick he is and decisive is with his feet. And that all plays a part because all that motion shit, it's on time.
His timing is unbelievable.
And Tua makes all that happen, but it's like, damn, you've schemed up something nasty. Or if you got somebody doing it. But it just brings back to Dan Campbell, where it's everybody's bought in, and I just, obviously being a Bears fan, seeing where they've been, easier to root for them. It's just like, holy man, Detroit was nowhere. You know what I mean? I've watched them waste Megatron in my lifetime. Before me, obviously, was Barry, but watching them waste Megatron, that's hilarious. So you can't do jack with that guy. Stafford leaves, wins the ring immediately.
Yep.
But it's like, finally, they got a guy that where it really is the whole locker room is bought in.
They're all in on him.
And it's like, I look at the defense, a little bit here and there improved, but really, what is the difference? You know what I mean? The guys that they went out and got are hurt. So it's like, so we're talking about guys have just stepped up even more, and it's like, man, I really wonder if that is because Dan Campbell's there and he's got them where it's Mark Cuban, where he gets the Mavericks, he buys the Mavericks, and he's in there cold calling people to come to Mavericks games.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask anything of you guys that I want to do. They all feel that way about Dan Campbell. If he says, hey guys, let's go clean up a street, he's out there first cleaning up, you know what I mean? Not just saying, let's do some. And I just, like, I don't know what it is, I buy in on that a little bit as well.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because you say you like the schematic reason for the coach. I almost like the nod. Because he's getting guys to do it without being the genius.
Without being a genius.
It's just, I'm so here for you boys that I throw, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, let's buy in for him.
Sheer will.
So I just got Dan Campbell there for my coach of the year.
I think that they're both absolutely reasonable. No, me neither. I don't give it to Nick Sirianni, even though his team has the best record, because like they haven't done anything impressive yet this year, really.
Best roster.
Yeah, best roster in the
roster.
football.
And I'm sorry, you also run a play that obviously I'm not saying ban it, but I'm just saying it's like that is a very impressive play that is so
How many
cheesy
drives
that I
are
don't care.
saved that end up in points because of an unstoppable play?
At least 3 a game.
At least three.
Like,
at least 3
just
drives
like
a game.
comparing it to Wembanyama in the NBA, it's not impressive when he dunks. He's 7'4".
He can
it's
do
like,
it
it's
standing
impressive
still.
a standing dunk. Those are awesome, but it's not blowing
impressive.
the roof off.
No.
You know, and guess what? You doing those aren't blowing the roof off.
No.
But yeah,
He blocked a shot last night where he didn't even leave his feet.
That's crazy. He's a freak, man.
Like, oh, he didn't even jump.
it's like, well, he's
He's got an
7'6", his
8-foot
arms can
wingspan.
fucking go above the rim. It's like maybe he doesn't need to.
Yeah. All right, last award before we get into our game picks for Week 9. MVP.
Oh.
I think this is the hardest race to call, truthfully, because it depends on your line of thinking. If it is a quarterback award, strictly, which is how it has been in the past, it's between, I think, Josh Allen and Tua right now. Statistically only. Tua's passing numbers are all better than Allen's. He has 300 more yards, 1 more touchdown, 1 less pick. But Allen adds that rushing factor. And people are going to say, okay, take Allen off the Bills, what are they? It's like, well, he's played almost every game. We saw what the Dolphins were without Tua last year. They were 1-6.
Yeah.
Terrible without him. And everyone's like, oh, any quarterback can do it. Haven't seen that happen yet. Haven't seen a quarterback step in. Mike White has played a little bit this year, came in through a pick 6.
Yeah.
And it hasn't looked fantastic. And then last year, Teddy and Skylar Thompson, neither of them looked any good. We averaged like 12 points a game without Tua. We averaged close to 30 with him.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much of an important player he is. But then the Bills, obviously, and Josh Allen, it's close between those two. Is it Tyreek Hill? Is Tyreek Hill the MVP this year so far? I don't want to know what a Dolphins offense without Tyreek Hill looks like. But I know what a Dolphins offense without Tua looks like, and it's horrible. And it is hard to watch, and it makes me very sad. It makes me cry. I've got to give it... it's so hard to pick. It's such a hard pick because it's a guy I hate, and it's a guy I love. But I think in a year where no quarterback is separating himself, there is a wide receiver who is separating himself and is on pace to shatter the record for most yards in a season. On pace for 17 touchdowns and 2,200 yards is Tyreek Hill. I think if Tyreek Hill hits his numbers, Tua will throw for 5,000 yards and close to 40 touchdowns. That's awesome. Seen it. Haven't seen anybody do what Tyreek Hill's doing.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it happen before. I think right now, if you can give MVP and Offensive Player of the Year, which has happened, it's rare, but it has happened. I think it's Tyreek Hill. I think right now, if I had to vote, I'm probably giving it to Tyreek Hill, knowing full well that Tua is probably a more valuable piece to this team because the Dolphins won without Tyreek. We do not win without Tua.
Yeah.
We simply don't do it. It hasn't happened in several years. So I'm going Tyreek Hill right now, but it is a very hard choice to make, in my opinion. Colin, what are your thoughts?
Dak for no. I have Tua written down here. I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's a quarterback.
I think it probably
award.
is too.
And even if Tyreek has 22 and 17, I mean Tua has 22 passing and 17 passing as well.
Just
unless
him.
they're end rounds or
Right.
returned mixed in there. I just think it's such a quarterback award.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, the Dolphins with Tua and without record-wise. And at the end of the day, the quarterback has to execute. He can't throw it deep, but then he's hitting Tyreek in stride deep. I don't know how that
Right,
works.
I don't know what we're talking about here.
Magnetic ball, I guess.
Yeah,
You gotta have a magnet
it must be
to Tyreek.
cheating. Cheat codes.
At the end of the day, I think if Tua keeps it up and the Dolphins win that division,
Yeah.
I think that gives Tua the edge over Allen.
Allen.
Because, how do you, if you have similar numbers, how does the guy who wins the division, I don't care
Not
about
get it.
as much as to say I don't care about rushing stats for a quarterback because it's such a good element. I mean, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, just a different dynamic they can bring to your offense. But when it comes to MVP talk, unless it's like 900 or 1,000 rushing and
like Jackson
7-8 touchdowns rushing, it's like, to me, that's just a nice accessory to have, a nice ability to have. Okay, a 3rd and 7, you can give me that first down. But at the end of the day, I don't really factor that into my MVP too much. So right now, especially this weekend's a big game for Tua as well.
Huge.
A lot of good games this
A lot of
weekend.
good games.
Spoiler.
Yeah,
a lot of really good games this weekend. I just have to, at this point in the season, I'm giving it to Tua.
Guys, thoughts?
It is damn tough because Tua realistically deserves it just because I think all the bullshit comes in a little bit. You know, if this is going to be a narrative award, because that's what it is.
It has been.
Because when you look at FanDuel, Tua's right there. Guess who else is there though? Mahomes. And it's only because his name is Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Because hey, sure, he's looked damn good, but there's no way he's looked MVP good with the way their offense has looked. There's just no way.
I mean, Russell Wilson has better stats.
Legitimately. So there's just no shot. But if this wasn't a narrative award, I'd go Tyreek. Because as much as, there's no question. If you're taking out Tyreek or Tua is more important. The quarterback, the guy that touches the football
QB.
every single play on offense is important. Darn. Shocker. But, man, you say picture that Dolphins offense without Tyreek, and I think something that's mid. Maybe a little bit above mid, because their scheme would still be good.
Very average.
But Tyreek explodes this thing to the whole other level, and I think that allows Tua to become even better.
Way better, absolutely.
Just better at what he is, because Tua's good at this timing thing, and now you got guys that can be anywhere on the timing. Yeah. Tua can get to the 4th level in 4 seconds, because he can, just because it's Tyreek. And Tua can throw that ball, and I think, like you said, Jalen Waddle having a middling season, 1,000 yards, 6 tutties, that is literally all because of Tyreek.
Because Tyreek already has those numbers.
And it's literally all because of Tyreek. So just with the way he's exploded, the history of nobody's done 1,008. So we're talking this guy's getting an additional game, doing something nobody had done in the 16-game season. Like, holy shit. Yeah. And I get it's the quarterback's got to throw him the ball to get all those yards. I don't care. Because you can just throw it 2 yards to Tyreek and he goes,
ask Stephen A.
No,
As he's showing videos of him throwing 40 yards.
Yeah, no, but it's
Tyreek
that's the thing. It is a guarantee.
So dumb.
He's sitting there with George again last week. Tyreek's 40-yard bomb. It's a weekly thing. It is a weekly thing that he's catching a 40-yard plus touchdown pass. Yep. And that's just to the point where it's like, damn, that's impressive. So I got Tyreek Hill as my MVP at the moment. Obviously, narrative quarterback award will probably be to at least right now, but I'm still leaning Hill, man. He just makes such an impact.
Yeah, and like you said, in a year where all the quarterbacks, no one's separating themselves
yet. That's the thing, exactly.
Tyreek Hill has separated himself from the rest of the league.
And that's the thing. 5,000 yards is damn impressive to reach that because if Tyreek goes crazy, he probably will. But it's like, man, getting those yards is really easy when you got a guy that's doing it at this fucking level.
This high of a level.
Yeah.
So. I mean, Tyreek's averaging 126 yards a game receiving. Yeah. That's insane.
I know it's dumb and he's an elite receiver, but you go to FanDuel, you go to those player props, and you go alt receiving yards. And 100 receiving yards is minus money. Yeah. Minus money.
He's gonna get it.
Like, come on, man.
Like the Patriots' claim to fame this year was we held Tyreek under 100 yards, and then this past weekend they gave up 120 to him on 6 catches. It's like, okay, just kidding. Never mind, we can't do it because nobody can do it. How do you stop him? I don't know how.
The only thing that stops Tyreek is when he turns 32 and loses a step.
Yeah, when he gets slow in a few years, which he said he'll retire before then. He said once I lose a step, I'm done. Like if I'm no longer the fast guy out there, I'm out. which will be a sad day for me. I saw a video of the Dolphins-Chiefs game from a few years ago, last time we played them, and Tyreek was in a Chiefs uniform, and it hurt me.
Yeah,
I was like, no, that's my guy. That's my guy. So happy we got him. But those are the mid-season awards. Again, this is only through 8 weeks. A lot can change.
Yes.
A lot can change. This time last year, we're talking Geno. Is Geno going to win MVP? He might. Obviously, didn't happen. So